Okay, perfect. It's working now. I'll make myself smaller because my hair is really big today. I've never seen that. What is that? I watched that gay movie last night and it was really good. I'm not one for romance, but I was kind of really into it because both of the male actors were really hot. So I was into it. It's called Red, White, and Royal Blue. And it's like in a different timeline from America. And Uma Thurman is the president of the United States. And the prime minister is a like iconic, like stunning black woman. Then the royal family's son is queer. So, or like he's the prince or whatever. So it was really good. And then they fall in love and it's gay and it's amazing. I liked it a lot, actually. And I'm not for like corny gay stuff either. Like I'm just like, let me watch my total drama, whatever. But I was actually really into it. It's about a chef taking over a failing restaurant. It's amazing. Harley, thank you so much for 18 months. Are you going to TwitchCon, Harley? Is that what you said? You can't wait to meet you? I forgot that's happening. TwitchCon. Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't get it. Sorry, I'm not a diehard Fnaf stan. I think we can play high graphics. It's just when the game starts up, it's a little... Can we just start? Let's start. Let's not sit here. Gregory is lost. Find him. Okay, whatever you say. So if you haven't seen me or you have no idea what this game is, I would suggest definitely going back and watching my VODs of it. One of my favorite VODs we've done. I wore an outfit just like this. Hi, Lee. Oh, I can't move back.
Gregory?
Sorry.
Gregory? You there? I got your message.
I'm not a FNAFster, no. I'm a little monster, not a little FNAFster.
Gregory, are you there?
Everything sound good? Look okay? Let me know, y'all. I'm moving my mic out of the way. It's like in the way. Yeah, I could do this. Okay. Oh, like really quiet. Hold on. Hello, testing. Blah, 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 blah. So true. Okay. I turned myself up for you guys because I know you love my beautiful voice.
I don't get it. Why would Gregory tell me to come to this old place and then not be here? What is that? Maybe if I get up there, I can see better.
Wait, is this the pizza Plex from the original? Wait, that's kind of gaggy. It's like broke down. Wait, it is! Wait, that's scary. This is the original game, but it's like all fucked up. It's in ruin. Wait, that's why it's called Ruin. LOL. I just got it, guys. We got it, girl. Where did she want me to go? I know, it used to be so pretty and colorful. When I accidentally run into a jump scare, what then? The running is so slow.
No way I'm going in there without a flashlight.
Okay, sassy Cassie. Where are the hot animatronics? If we see Monty, it's on site. I'm sucking him right there. Sorry, he's hot. And what? Okay, I'm gonna have a cough drop again. I have tried everything to get rid of this cough. I don't understand what it is. I don't want to know what it... I mean, I do want to know. I've tried honey. I've tried tea. I've tried... like... I've tried Mucinex. I've tried Sudafed. It literally must be a lingering cough from being asymptomatic from COVID-Tina. Hi Shogun, hi Sona. The way I'm already lost. And we just started. She said she wanted to fucking see it closer. I'm going. I see it. Can we find a flashlight somewhere? Oh, is that it right there? That's spray paint. Guys, I found the flashlight. Can I turn off the flashlight? Oh, there we go. I'm scared. Not this being scarier than the main game. Huh. Him, you better not be the Roxy trash can with lips and a ponytail when I get there. Me AF. You can back it up a little bit. Hey, I'm okay. Was there supposed to be... Was there supposed to be a jump scare? I missed it, guys. Something tells me it's not really Gregory. Because how long has Gregory been gone that this is happening?
Are you there? Over here! Are you there? I'm trapped.
Gregory? I got your message. Where are you?
Help! Something grabbed me. You won't let me go. You have to find me. I'm trapped in the sinkhole under the raceway.
Under Roxy Racers? That's all the way on the other side. I'm not even close.
Is that a watermelon? No. Huh. Oh my god. I guess we do have to play at medium. What the fuck is this? I remember this had performance issues when we played the first time, but they still haven't patched it? Like, what the hell? Girl, get real. I know this is newish, but like, come on. Come on! Low clearance, watch your head. It wouldn't be a horror game if there was an event. Vent, sus, Among Us. There's gonna be a jump scare here. Pretends to be scared when the jump scare hits. Well, what did I say?
I'm okay.
The scariest thing there was the girl's scream, like, shut up, bitch. Sorry. Roaches! I just shipped my pants. I thought the kitchen was lovely. Girl, you can back it up.
What happened to you? You look awful.
Okay, that was just rude. Don't be nasty to Chica. Not her dragging her boots when Chica's dead. She said, you look like shit. Damn, rude. Don't people like get horny for like the Chica and Bonnie and all them? I say that when Freddy Fazbear was like the... Is someone there? Hello? No, literally, I'm like, I said something about Monty earlier. I hate that his name's Monty because that's my cat's name.
What's this thing? I think it's supposed to power the door.
No shit. Well, what are we gonna do about it? Whack it. Whoever was crawling around earlier, do you want to make your presence known so I can get the item from you and open the door? Maybe Chica has it. Maybe Chica's getting up and dancing for us. She'll do a number, a tip and number. We're gonna come back and she's gonna be gone, watch. Oh. Diva, would you happen to have something to power the door? Okay. It's fine if you don't, like, it's fine. It's, like, actually fine. What's over here? Over here. Where he fell. The way this is like, I actually kind of like what they're doing here. I know Fnaf, like, the entire gimmick of Fnaf is abandoned animatronics like going haywire, but like This is like literally what some places look like. Like some abandoned Disney properties kind of look like this, honestly. Do you have something on? Oh, damn, okay. Like if you look up like abandoned animatronics like Disney, like they look like this. It's like scary. So I kind of like the gimmick they're going for. Abandoned property, abandoned animatronics go crazy. I like literally hear something moaning. Like what's happening? Are you gonna see the Fnaf movie? Of course. For Matthew Lillard, the guy that plays Shaggy in the live-action Scooby-Doo movies. Love him. Don't mind. That's Daddy for real. Who else is in it? I think Jack Black is in it, right? Jack Black and the guy from Hunger. Nope. Not the guy, not PETA. Some other guy that looks like him. Some other twink. Yeah. Same. We grew to love the original, now it's like scary. Oh, it is PETA? PETA? Am I supposed to whack this? Like, what is the tea? Open up! You guys know that game I've been playing, Naraka Blade Point? Well, first of all, they added 2B to the game. If you guys know 2B, Nier Automata. I think that's how you pronounce that. But also, in the game, there's like this ability that you can get, and it's like a horse that runs you down. It's literally PETA, the horse is here. And like, you get insta-killed boots. So anytime someone runs at you with the horse, you're like, PETA, the horse is here, but also like, PETA, I'm scanned. Oh, is this it right here? Aha. Oh, right here.
A fast wrench. It's just like my dad's.
Who's your dad? Okay, puzzles. I did it. I don't know how I did it because I didn't really understand it, but I did it. Let's groove tonight. Notice how she didn't respond. Yeah, because her name is Cassie. I say that and that's literally my name out of drag. I keep missing the jump scares because I just want to explore and then I look away and something happens. Ew, wait, this is the thing with like the endoskeletons. Those were the scary things in the scariest in the original. Girl, are we playing Alien? What is going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for visiting, and we hope you enjoyed the show.
That noise in the background, did you hear that? It was like, wow! Oh. Why did that make a noise? Okay, guys, into the... Okay, I won't lie, that kind of got me. Monty, calm down! Oh, she got gagged.
Ow, my head. Where'd that freaking Mickey and Monty thing go? I better find a way out before it comes back.
The way she like does not even give an F. She's like, yeah, these like animatronics that are like trying to kill me are. Oh my god, the FPS drops. Jesus. Girl, this game has been out for almost a year and they haven't fixed their bugs. Let's get into it. Oh.
Hi. Free mask. Please take a mask. Take a mask. Take a mask. Thank you. Please enjoy.
Weird. It's not a Bonnie mask.
Don't
Look
put
at
that
all the
on.
wires and stuff.
It's been 2 years. Wait, there's no way. This feels like we played it last year. What in good God's name?
Ow! That hurts.
Do not be surprised by your surroundings. You are still in the real world, but Fazbear's Entertainment has made it better. With the security mask, you can locate and repair the pesky security nodes.
Ah! What are you still doing here?
So they implanted her with a security chip? Oh, I'm glad. What the? Now this is getting weird. Hi, Barbie bathroom. Barbie bathroom check. Can I just walk through it without the mask on? Oh, I can't.
I swear that doorway was blocked.
Locked. Well, this is... Okay. Oh, not the Monty attraction. This was the hardest one in the main game.
What's that supposed to be?
This is Fnaf connection robot. Lucky for you, you're already deployed as a power supply. Did you just see that?
Gregory! Are you there? Hey! That's my voice! Gregory! Are you there?
That's really interesting, isn't it? Eh.
Don't stop looking for me. I need your help.
Gregory! Gregory! I can hear you.
If you can hear me, turn off all security. Turn it all off.
Security? What are you talking about? None of this makes sense.
Security knows. Find them and turn them all off. I can't get out until that happens.
Gregory? Security nodes? What the heck are those?
I don't really understand, like...
That's a security node. Find the child nodes first and deactivate them. Follow the data paths. For whatever reason, they react to your flashlight.
Huh. Check the matching holograms. Oh. Like one of those mini games. This is quite the adventure we're on. Oh my god, I'm gonna kill. It smells like pee in here. I swear to God, it put pee. Again, I'm gonna be so mad. Hi, Marshall. Alert, I'm picking a entity in the network. The Nemesis network. That doesn't work. It is best to exit AR and contact. What is that? Oh, it's getting closer. Oh. What the hell is that? Oh. Okay, what do I do about it? Oh, I see. Oh, I'm scared to put the thing back on. Ah! Where'd it go? Oh my god! That's not fair! You can't have two at once. Not do you think he's single? Girl, I think he's a Pringle. I don't know. That wasn't fair. I was got. Why does Monty come through here? Get out of here. Oh my god!
Stay away from that thing. It's sending out some sort of distress signal, and Monty is responding.
What the heck? This is Maddie's fault. I have to do it all over again. How do we hide from Monty? Oh!
Look in the camera. The door is open.
Hey, Monty. Oh.
Now, the signal was leading Monty to your location. You got out of there just in time. If you see it again, keep your distance. The gator prep door is open. You should be able to find a path to the daycare through the security office.
Well, this is certainly something. I can't believe this game is 2 years old and they're still having FPS issues. Hire somebody to fix it, girl. Hi, Key. I like these puzzles a lot. If you would excuse me. Okay. That won't be necessary.
Hi, house music. Hey.
I'm scared. Over there. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm going. Stop. To the north! To the northeast! To the northwest! I need an FREAK 47. Stop! Take your... Valentina, we need to see your lips. Ew! Where did he come from? Thank you. I used the glitter I got in Australia today. Australian glitter, oh my god, I won. Girl, we're so far back, what the hell? Oh wait, no, we're not. Wait, yes we are.
Look in the camera. The door is open.
The door is not open, why are you lying to me? Gregory, don't lie to me. Sick fuck. It's actually not Gregory. I'm convinced. Hey, Monty. What's up, bitch? What's up, Monty? What's up? You can't get through, loser. Loser. Oh, he was gagged. He better. Hey, Toadette. Thank you for the follow. My problem is that it looks like there's no checkpoints. I mean, sorry. It looks like there's no place to hide, so you're just gonna have to run around. Can I get in here, please?
No, it's a dead end.
Find the symbol. Find it. The camera is the way forward.
It's gone!
Literally,
No
what is
way.
happening in this DLC?
I walked through a big screen and now I'm in Superstar Daycare? No way this is real. That screen was there before I looked at the camera. I swear.
Where are you?
I'm in daycare. Is there a way out of here?
Get to the daycare theater. There's a way down to the catwalks. Should help you get to the raceway.
The catwalk, everywhere you go. Oh, that's not. This is the Hunger Games, darling. God, Michael's my queen. My queen of all queens, really. I feel like if they do an all winners 2, she'll be on it. Oh, this is lovely. Oh. I love Mother Chad. She's my queen of all queens. I stan. There's a joke somewhere, like I want to make a joke about her, but like I don't even know where the joke is because my brain is like kind of fried, but what the?
No, Fred! I am trapped in a gap! Reboot! We need to be whole!
You want me to reboot you?
Who's whole?
With this?
Lights on! Lights on! Turn generators on!
You could back it up a little bit. Literally, mind your business. How Maddie be like with the napping bot. Rada.
Turn on the lights. Hurt him. He hates it. Hates the light. Hates the light.
I don't really understand it. Okay. I hear the sun thing. Oh, we go through here? Just stopping in to say hi. Hi, babe. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. I see you're putting in work at the HQ lately. I see you there posting stories there a lot. Like, this is in different areas. Yeah, that's why I really liked Security Breach. I haven't played any other FNAF game. Like, I would play... This is the only one I would play. I like that this was, like, you can actually explore and shit. And the story was pretty solid. Like, the gameplay was pretty solid in it. So, I wasn't mad. I liked it. It's one of my favorite VODs we've played. Like, on my YouTube channel, it's up there. Had some of my favorite looks, too. Yeah. I mean, FNAF lore is crazy in-depth, though.
No crafts or treats to share. Nap time.
I did. That's a good idea for the next subathon. Fall asleep to Fnaf lore. I mean, I'm for it. I haven't done a subathon in so long. I mean, I feel like I need to do one soon. It's prime opportunity for me to get some support back into my channel, get some extra money, because, like, you know, the fire. So I really should get into it. When you go down the sun. Shut up. Okay, I am a little lost, I must say. But that's the joy we take in FNAF games, right, chat? We love to get lost. I got lost. I also think the look today, I hate how I look today, so we just I would just like to address the elephant in the room. I don't know why my eye, this eye, I was looking in the monitor and I was like, why does it look like my eye is red? I guess like a blood vessel popped or something? I don't know. It's like, I didn't have an issue. Like, what? Thank you, baby. You have to be lost to find yourself. Isn't that a Drag Race quote? Didn't they say that on Drag Race once? I swear they did. Okay, I just went in there for absolutely no reason. Like, there was, like, no reason for me to go in there. Like, what was the reason? Like, actually, what was the reason, bitch? Smoke too much weed, yeah. Because I'm known to be a I'm known to be a stoner, and that's why he's coming at me like this, because he wants some. He's trying to get his lick back. He wants a little... Because if it ain't... What? I just had a stroke. Because if it ain't green... I'm puppets. Just combining different Drag Race quotes. So what are the points of the cameras besides the anomalies? Because, like, I get it's supposed to, like, reference the original FNAF, but, like, there's actually no reason for them. I don't get it. Oh, really? That's a good movie day, like Oppenheimer and Barbie, even though no one should have saw Oppenheimer, because literally who gives a fuck, and also you guys should be running up Barbie sales, but it's no tea. Can I go through here? I'll never forget, we were in the parking lot after seeing the Barbie movie, and my roommates, Onyx and Max, they were like, telling me, they're like, yeah, because I said a joke, I was like, I already know the plot of Oppenheimer, like, I don't even need to know, like, I don't even need to see the movie. And they were like, well, yeah, girl, it's a movie based on true events, it's like a historical event, like war and stuff, and the bomb in World War II and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. World War II had a bomb happening with the Nazis, and they were like, yeah, girl, it's a whole thing. Like, that's literally what was happening. And I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. Can we go see it? We burst out laughing. Like, there was no one in the parking lot. You could hear our laughs echoing, because we were laughing so loud. Actually saw us next month on the 29th. Wait, FNAF's coming out this year? What? Hi JC. Hi V Gross. Oh my god, yeah, I heard it was a really long movie and some people were complaining that like some parts they like couldn't understand without like subtitles. So like that's definitely an at-home movie, I think. I would see it at home. Like I would stream it on a streaming. Peacock in theaters same day. Oh. I don't know if that's the move, but whatever they want to do. Okay, I'm lost. Guys, I'm lost. Lost and confused. I had to smile within when I realized these. I'm not gonna finish that lyric because those lyrics are kind of transphobic, but it's fine.
Good. Now find the other generator.
The voices are like scary. Yeah, I would wager Peacock is one of the best streaming services right now, and if they remove WWE like they originally said they were going to, I think it would take a huge hit, a huge L. Also, the people that saying Oppenheimer was a stacked cast like Barbie, who said that? Who said that? Come forward. They need to get a smack on the dick. And yeah, I know it was a man, and I know it was somebody with a penis because they're fucking stupid. And everybody with a penis is stupid, including me. Em, I really like your makeup today. Thank you. I like when I can have fun with makeup, but I also, one of my favorite things to do on the channel, we don't do it a lot, is I love playing... Sorry. I'm so sorry, guys, this cough. I'm gonna go to like a minute clinic or something soon. I really like matching the makeup to the game we're playing, like the aesthetic. Like, I love doing that. Like when we played Nier Replicant, I did a Nier cosplay. When I did the original Security Breach, we did like neon colors like we're doing today. I like when we do that. Like when there's an aesthetic choice in a video game that I can match it. I love doing that. It's a little thing on my channel that we don't do a lot, but it's like usually some of my favorite things to do. Oh, right here. Oh, we have to do the anomalies. Where is the camera thing? Oh, it's back here. You can back it up. Oh, it's like right behind me. Do you see that? Hey. Oh. Okay. Barbie made me so mad because Margot Robbie looked good in every scene. Like, how do you not get tired? Literally, there was only one bad look for me in the Barbie movie, and it was that pink mod dress that was like boxy. That was the only boot from me. But every other look was my, like, I adored. Oh my god, wait, they really make you go far back with the checkpoints.
Reboot! Reboot! We need to be whole!
You want me to reboot you? With this?
Lights on! Lights on! Generate on!
I have some vapor rub I can use.
Find the generator. Find it.
Okay.
Turn on the lights.
I think my favorite look from the Barbie movie was
Hate hates it.
um
Daycare attendant hates the light.
I really liked the like blue mod number with the collar and the white cuffs. That was one of my faves. Am I in danger? Oh, I guess I am. Okay, well, I kind of need you to do your thing. Why is it not letting me do it? Oh.
Good. Now find the other generator. Turn on the lights. Daycare attendant hates the
F off. I'm busy. Oh, it was the little goodie. Why does he keep doing that? It like lets me put the mask on for 2 seconds and then...
There! He did it! Look! He's stuck! He's stuck! Go, go, go! Hurry! Go fix it! Repair! Use your fast wrench! Go!
Do what? Miss, thank you for the follow.
Happy birthday! Warning, warning! Child in danger! Safety mode active. Little girl, you can't be in here. It's dangerous. I need to clean up before we can open in the morning.
Will you ever play the Konami Saw game?
Flooded with kids.
I think we did back in the
Back
day.
soon and
The
have a
Saw video game for
fabulous
Xbox.
Thank you.
Hi, baby. How you doing? Okay, what happened? Odd. Not the endoskeletons. I can't. Me too. Downloaded an app that reminds me of the Starfire skin in the Fortnite store. I think I'm spiraling, but I need her. What is it? Yeah, we played it. We definitely did play the Saw one. I did a Saw look for 13 streams of Halloween 2 years ago. But we didn't finish it because it was like, it was dragging on. When games drag on, I'm like, we're good. We're done. We don't need to do all this. I really want my next journey to be Final Fantasy 16, but I don't want to spend $70 on it because I don't have a PS5, but I'm staying at a apartment that they do, so I can run an HDMI cord and play it for the time being. Oh shit. So I'm not gonna spend $70 on a fucking Final Fantasy game and then lose it in like 2 weeks, you know what I mean? Can you move? Like... Also, $70 for a video game nowadays, I can't. Like, stop. Like, I just can't do it. Like, why is this the minimum? Who made that decision? Who's your favorite Rue girl of all time? Probably Crystal Method and Diabetes, because I, like... Not that I know them, but I've known them the longest out of all the Rue girls. And Crystal really gave me a platform because we did a collab back in the day. You can look it up on YouTube. It's me and Crystal Method, and me and Diabetes were gonna do one together, but Dia went and filmed Drag Race while we were planning it. So I said, oh, that's why she's not responding to my message. Huh. Something tells me these endoskeletons are gonna move. What did I say? I knew it! I knew it! Don't start. I have a gun. I don't, but... There's another child node? You're kidding. I hate it here. I do. I do. It's over there! This is not fair. Mind your business, B. Mind your B. Mind your B. I think I have to kind of bait him. Don't. Don't. Now that's just not fair. Not too much on Wally, not too much. I'm gonna put on some vapor rub really quick. Because for whatever reason, today has been the worst part of the cough ever. I don't understand why. I'm buying all this medicine and it's not working. Okay. We'll see if that goes better for me. Hopefully. Okay, so we start here. My glistening chest. Well, this isn't fair because now I'm trapped. Do you mind? I'm aware it's looking for me. I am very aware. What the? What did I just climb on? Where is this item? Is it seriously over there? My God. That's what I say to that. Mind your bee. Let me find the locations before I activate these bots. Is it one of these fucking machines? I know you're fucking lying right now. Hudden! What are you doing in my room, stinker? How did you get in here? I guess she's under my bed. I don't know how she gets under my bed, but as long as she doesn't pee on something, I'm fine. You're fine, Puddin', you're fine. Which I'm pretty sure she peed under my bed because she likes to pee all over my room, but it's fine. Oh, here it is. Oh, here's the tea. This kind of seems impossible. I don't know. Anybody else? Would anyone like to agree with me? Okay, thanks. Wait, what? I thought that was one of the three. What did that just deactivate? This is stupid. This is stupid. What is happening? I thought that was the item, is it not? Am I crazy? Yes. Well, yes. Oh my God, are you for real, for real, for real, for real? Are you playing? I'm hoping to. I'm just disappointed with the lack of women, but we've been new. I'm waiting for Sindel because as much as I love Melina, I don't like to just be locked into one character. I'm not a big... I like Kitana, but I don't usually... I play Sindel and Melina, usually, so... Hi, JP. Okay, so now this becomes unfair because I'm gonna be hunted by 300 fucking mechs. Enough. Yes, I will. I will play the Pokemon DLC. I think Astro looks amazing too, but a lot of people don't enjoy it, which makes me upset. Because, like, I don't know. Like, everybody's just stupid and they're like, it doesn't look like her. I'm like, of course it doesn't. Everybody's getting a rework. I think she looks good. I really like her design. What? I can't. It is just men. Yeah, the Pokemon DLC is announced for September, I believe. And stay tuned. I think I'm gonna do a I'm working on a project for specifically just YouTube and TikTok. And I'm thinking of doing, because I do the gaming news a lot. Like, I do the announcements and the directs and stuff. I'm thinking of doing, like, a recap of, like, every 2 weeks what to look out for on the gaming radar. And I think I'm gonna call it, Release Gaydar. And it's gonna be all of the queer, like, what we queer people want in gaming news, and not the IGN oversaturated bullshit. Like, I'll cover what to look out for and what to see. So I'm really excited about working on it. I just haven't sat down and really done it, but I'm thinking of doing something like that. So it's like a I would say like a 5-minute video. You watch the video, it'll have everything that you need to know in the next couple weeks of gaming news. Okay, this I think we can do it now. Sorry, I usually just lurk. No worries, you can lurk all you want. If you dress like a news anchor. I'm thinking of getting like a signature, like I'll only wear blazers. Like I want to only wear, like look very, and I want to get like a layout. So it's like an actual news anchor thing. I'll have to edit it and make it myself, but kind of what we used to have back. I used to have like an anchor background thing, so I can make it again. How is this even fair? This is your name. Good night. Hi, Tostin. But yeah, that's like, I've been wanting to do like YouTube like only content, and I think this year that'll be my like goal, like because I know I want to do it for 13 streams of Halloween as well. Like I want to do the makeup tutorials and like transformation videos and shit like that. So I think this will be the year that I get my shit together. I was gonna cancel my video editor software, but I think I might as well just keep it, even though it's $30 a month, but whatever. This is your name. Good night. Like, literally, how are you supposed to do this? Oh my god, like, I don't know how I bought all this medicine to help. I bought so much to like get this cough away, and it's just getting worse with everything I do. I'm like, what is it? What is this? Are you serious? You guys want to be Resident Evil so bad. One of these bitches are gonna wake up.
I bet the doors are open.
What is that? It's a camera, Steve. Yes, it is. Look at it.
Okay, anyway. I'm going under. Loving you. I'm fine forever. I can't believe Marshy is working an Evanescence concert at his work. That's cool as AF. You bitches are here too? I can't. He is. Told me the other night. In bed. Just kidding. I remember seeing rumors that Kylie was gonna be on the show and then she wasn't, and I was like, okay. Don't you dare thinking about moving. Don't move. Don't. What did this even solve? What is this? Oh. Huh, that's really interesting. Oh, you want me to go in it? Oh, okay, wow.
I'm stuck! Help!
Well. Chat, is this real?
This vent is creaky. I really hope it's
You dumb bitch. Oh my god, are we on a ride? Oh. It's like Disney. Well, this is fun. Oh, that wig? Okay. How is this ride still operating? Me and who? Why does Monty have a unit on in these little pictures? He has a full hairpiece. Oh. He's getting his hair cut. It's his lore. He used to have a nice bouncy wig, and then Roxy cut it off because she was jealous. She stole his wig. Got this. She called me fugly on TikTok.
I gotta get off this thing. It's not stopping.
Yeah, I said because she did the tier list ranked or whatever, the drag race ranked. And I said, no one's surprised at you making a crazy ass list with your taste. And then she said, girl, you're fugly. And I went,
said I could get to the race
okay, and so are your
Hold
controversies.
on.
With a heart.
Say there's a way to redirect the gondolas to the maintenance room.
So, yeah.
Deactivate the security.
Another drag race girl that doesn't like me.
Gregory, you there? Of course not. So, security node and tracking controller. Whatever that is.
Chat, is this real? Can I get off this? Okay. Adding that to the Nemesis. Ow! Well. That was Ariel Versace's fault. Fuck you! Sorry. Who really won?
Where are you?
Gregory, I made it to Catwalks. You said I could get to the raceway from here?
Hold on. The schematics say there's a way to redirect the gondolas to the maintenance room. Deactivate the security node. And use the track control.
Gregory, you there?
Guys, I didn't fall this time.
Gregory. So, security node and tracking controller. Whatever that is.
Yata. Oh my god, the floor is squeaky. I almost just fell. Chat, is this real? Fuck! I want this cough to go away so bad. I'm miserable. It's giving me a headache. Bitch, I'm sucking these cough drops dry and they won't help. Where's the gun? Where's my Glock? I need an FREAK 47. No, I really do right now. Ow! Why is it not working? You can get yourself together, Miss Ma'am. Watch me whip. Okay, well that doesn't even help, so... There's 4? Why do I feel like Monty's gonna come out of nowhere and fuck me in the ass? It's slippery. I'm gonna fall in the water.
Cass, you really need to get back on the gator gondola and go to the maintenance room.
Girl, I'm trying. Ow! I know. Not one of these games. This is the only game with a character named Monty in it. But yeah, I keep thinking Monty too. My sister sent a video of him to me and I was like, I miss Monty. Well, you should. You should know my entire Wikipedia page and every game I've ever played. So get into it. Whoa. Who splooged all over the set? What the fuck was that? I literally can't even get over there. This is too much. Who wants to write my Wikipedia page? Someone put me on Wikipedia. That'd be camp. Oh, hey, Diva. How are you supposed to do this? Oh. I guess I did it. What did that even do? What'd I do? I literally have no idea what that did, but okay.
The security system won't let you leave unless you deactivate the child notes first.
Shut the fuck up, bitch. You know you want me. I literally can't even get over there. This is rigged.
I wish this thing worked.
Good observation, ma'am. I wish this thing worked. Thinking about that one time we played a game and I asked everybody in chat when I would go home on Drag Race and almost everybody said Snatch Game. And I went, okay guys. And nobody said I had a challenge win. Everybody was like, no wins for you, Nem. Hi, Chris. Are you enjoying Baldur's? I see you've been playing a lot. I'm really enjoying it. I would want to go home first. I would, though, for real. What would you do for Snatch Game? Your mom. Correct. Dem, are you going to do Injustice? Not to be rude or anything. In Arkham City because I can't find it on YouTube and your makeup looks bomb. I thought I thought maybe we would replay the Arkham games, which is still a possibility. I would say it's a 50-50 right now. Definitely gonna play Injustice 2 with Starfire soon. But I think I'm gonna clump that in with, I think I'm gonna do like a Starfire variety stream. So every game I can play Starfire as, I'm gonna play. So I think that'll clump up with that. I don't know if I'll do the Injustice story mode. Maybe, because I've never done it. I don't know the Injustice lore. So it's 50-50. And I was gonna play, the Batman games the other day, but I'm trying to stay up to date with everything that's currently coming out, because I think I've fallen behind a little bit since Australia, so I'm just trying to pick up the pace where I left off. But yeah, stay tuned for that. It'll definitely be coming. It's so good, are you? Yeah, I'm really enjoying Will. I like Will's relationship. I like that everybody is like, they're strapped up for Asterion. I'm good. He's hot, but I like Will's personality better. On Streamlabs, if you click on users in chat, does it show who's actually lurking, or is the list not accurate? I'm only asking because I was testing in a stream and I saw my ex user in the chat. Oh my god. Holy shit. Sorry, my cough has never been this bad. It's literally the worst it's ever been today. And I don't feel sick. I'm not sure because I use OBS. I don't use Streamlabs. But sometimes like someone can come into your chat for like 5 minutes and then it says the user is in your chat for the rest of the stream. So it's not entirely accurate. Yeah, I'll be upset if they added Starfire to this game and they never add her to an Injustice game again, but they also did that with Raven in Injustice 1 and they didn't add her into Injustice 2 when Starfire was playable. Holy shit. And Beast Boy's the only Teen Titan to not be an Injustice. Every other Teen Titan's been an Injustice. Even Blue Beetle was in a game before Beast Boy, which is kind of ridiculous, because Blue Beetle's like an honorary Teen Titan. I hate Terra so much after watching that one movie. I'm stuck. Boots. Okay. They better add Harley Quinn into Mortal Kombat like the rumors are saying. She better be in there. And they better fix her face, because in Injustice 2 she looked botched. Sorry, I did not like her face. They tried to make it a Margot Robbie dupe, but it didn't really work. I would like to finish this before I end. I don't know if that's possible. I literally feel like garbage. I don't understand what's going on with my life. Oh, it saved me getting one. Okay. Thanks, that's nice. Has this been here the whole time? I have to pee. Hello? That emote combo. Thank you, thank you. Is this bitch for real? Whose emote is that? No! I wish I made that my emote. Oh, damn it. Gonna have to subscribe to that person. I literally use that clip so much, it's crazy. I think if I had to define my personality in like gifs, it would be Trisha Paytas waking up, or like video. Trisha Paytas waking up, that video, and what the fuck? Thank you. I don't feel pretty, but I look pretty. That's all that matters.
Ugh, I'm gonna puke. How did I get over here?
That's a great emo. I need to make more. I wish you could have more animated gift slots. You can only have 5. I just don't think I'm in on the joke. Like everybody plays DBD, all those people that do those emotes, they all play together, they all talk. I'm an outsider. It would be weird if I just made one. I'm not cool. How's your allergies? They're better than the other stream. I don't know why I was sneezing so much. That was actually crazy. Oh my god, I didn't even get... It's just a cough. This cough won't go away. I don't understand what it is. Like, actually. I gotta, like, schedule a minute clinic or something. Because I just bought, like, a bunch of stuff for, like, take care of it. Like, vapor rub. I got, like... everything to take care of it, and it's not being taken care of, so I don't really know what this is.
What happened to it?
Yeah, with my help, I updated help with the signal jammer. That thing won't bother you anymore.
Are you sure? Chad, is this real? No comment. I am not going to comment on how I missed that jump. Don't ask me questions. Don't speak to me. I know I'm so petite and so tiny. I'm 5'4". Short woman. Skinny. You know what I did yesterday? I ordered McDonald's. And you know what I kind of want to do again tonight? I kind of want to eat McDonald's again. And you know what? That's my business. What's wrong with it, Safety? What's wrong? Is there something the matter? I can't ooh and ah over the icon Delta Work herself.
I updated help with the signal jammer. That rabbit thing won't bother you anymore.
I don't have rewards points. It's no tea. This jump versus me is the fiercest rivalry since Coco versus Alyssa. Oh my god. My streaks. Yes, I'm a 24-year-old and I still do Snapchat streaks. I almost lost them. Chat, is this real? Can I leave? Is this, am I not supposed to jump that way? I don't think I'm supposed to jump that way. I almost lost all my snap streaks, chat. It was almost so bad for us. Over here. I remember being in an abusive relationship when I was younger, and I was concerned more about the snap streak ending than the relationship. I was like, I know we're fighting and we're breaking up, but can you please send me a Snapchat so our streak can go through? Ah! Cringe. So silly. What the? Listen, I'm the realest bitch in Bikini Bottom. How do I be Mrs. Puff for Halloween? How do I make that a reality? I have a life hack how you can figure out someone's cheating on you with Snapchat, but I'm not gonna expose myself on the cam, on the live. I'll put that on the non-existent Patreon I have. I ate that, but how do we get up there? Oh, sorry, jeez. Oh, we have to get back on the ride. Right, okay. Right. Monty's gonna jump scare us here, watch. I thought I did this already. When I had a bad fight with my bestie in high school and we kept our streak for like a year before talking to each other again. That's so fucking real. Anything it takes to keep the streak alive. We're back on the ride. Yippee! 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 That fat alligator that was on the ground. That's me. Oh, he's face down, ass up. You see that? What was that? Y'all hear that? Is someone there?
You did great. You're getting closer.
How do you know? How are you doing any of this?
I'll explain it all when you get here.
Bro,
That thing is here again. I gotta hide. Save me, Cassie, please.
bro, Gregory's been dead. I don't know who's talking to you, but it's not Gregory. So, what then? a long staircase. That blood. This is where we killed Chica. Perhaps. When Gregory's in one of these destroyed things. Yeah, where is Freddy? What'd I do? Guys, I'm preheating the oven. Very responsible here, preheating the oven for you guys, making some dinner. What do you guys want? Do you want dinosaur chicken nuggets? That is what chat would want. You guys would want that. I am the mother for the chat. I will make you guys dinosaur chicken nuggets. Tater tots. Yo, tater tots slap though. I wish I had some tater tots. I could go for dinosaur chicken nuggets and tater tots. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. No, cheese is gross. If you eat cheese, you are weird. Just kidding. Why is the game lagging so much? Can you guys hire someone to fix this shit? Who developed this game? Who's the developer? Tell me right now. It's Freddy himself. What are we even doing? Are we going into an oven? Like, what's happening?
Chica?
Hey, Diva. Not us cooking her alive. Why are we going in this? No words. No, look at them throwing away all of Chica's stuff. This makes me sick. Ew. Uh-oh. Hey, you said we wouldn't have to deal with him, and he's back. So what now?
Ow! 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 I got kicked out of the Vanny network. You said you got rid of that rabbit thing. What happened? Just ordered what? Where are we going?
Do you let, what is? She's so real. Oh. What in good God's name? Uh-oh. I feel bad. I thought that said hey fat and I was like, what the, that's so rude. It says let's eat, not hey fat. Diva down. Yeah, somebody help her. I literally thought it said hey fatty. I was like, oh, not too much now. Mother. She's up. When it's up, when it's up, and it's up, and it's, thank you for the subscription, Dynamite Sky. How you doing, baby? Okay, but she literally just had a Frankenstein moment. She got rezzed. Okay. Diva up. Diva's up. Oh. Girl. I'm doing good. I just have a slight cough. And by slight, I mean I definitely have a very obnoxious cough right now, but... Can she turn her head 360? Damn. Queen. Am I supposed to go around her? I'm not even scared of her. I'm just like, I'm team her. Like, women's stories matter. Like, Chica's
What is that stuff?
women's stories
Your
matter.
battery acid? There's no way I'm getting near that.
Ew, did Chica splooge? She's so real, actually. Hold on. Oh, it's probably frosting. Why did she say it's battery acid? Girl, there's cupcakes everywhere. The way we actually have to go around her. Hey, Diva. Or not. It's okay. Or I like don't have to. It's okay. It's like actually fine. The scream? Why was that so loud? You can calm down. So, guys, like, you guys like girls? Well, it obviously wants me to go over there, but how to get in there? Are you blasted?
What is that stuff? Weird battery acid? There's no way I'm getting near that.
Oh yeah, this game has a lot of jump scares. Jump scare warning. If that wasn't obvious. I don't know what to do. Why is she shitted everywhere? She poopied. Let me in. So what now? So what now? You just step in it. Just do something. Where do we go? Ale. Oh, the intercom. Okay, okay.
Gregory, are you there?
Oh, that plushie's cute. Oh, this is cute, this room. I like that Chica's she's a girl that likes to eat. And that's a girl after my own heart. Ow, ow. Am I even supposed to be doing this? Like, is this what we're supposed to be? Okay. How interesting that was. That's a nice Easter egg, but what happened? What is this?
Finally. Bet I can use the mask again.
Oh. Well, that's great, honey. So what happened to saying this thing is not gonna bother me anymore? So what about that? And Chica's here? Not fair. No, I'm not here, Diva. It's no tea. Okay. Sorry I even wanted to play the game. Okay, I'm sorry. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. Oh. Okay. So, what now?
Finally. Bet I can use the mask again.
It'd be nice if we weren't attacked by... How did Chica even get in there? I don't know if I'm exactly fond of the mechanic of this DLC, but it's certainly something. Thank you for coming, Sona. See you next time. Hi, Basketball. 9 months. Thank you so much for your subscription at 9 months, baby. How you doing? Shit. Well, I hope you're having a good day off work. Stop.
Why can't I remove the mask? to my head!
Don't worry about the bad entity here. Seek comfort knowing that I won't be able to track you down. Girl, that's a lie. To activate the parent security nodes in the west, you'll be able to reach Roxy's underwear. The fuck? No guitar. Guitar.
That rabbit thing's back again! You said it was safe here.
Where is it? Oh. Star. Oh my god, fuck. Lightning bolt, guitar. Hurry. Run, diva. Oh my gosh. That was close. Why are we in the back rooms right now? This is literally back rooms. Oh my god, the lag. Like, why is that happening? That's crazy, dude. I can't believe this game's been out in 2 years. That's definitely how something dropped from it. I think this is where Freddy was. What was that? What is that? What the?
You're not trying hard enough.
What? Oh.
Poor Roxy.
Huh? Who's there? You can't hide from me. Gregory.
No! Gregory!
Hi, Necro. Thank you for 39 months.
Gregory, are you there?
Cassie, I'm okay. I found a spot to hide. Turn off the nodes in the salon to follow Roxy. Hurry, she's close.
I'm doing okay. It's just this cough that I can't get rid of. I just want it to go away. It's like so inconvenient. I like literally don't know where I got it from though.
Gregory!
I gotta get in there.
Why'd she run like that? Did you see that run? It hasn't though. It's been like 2 weeks almost now. I'm like, oh my god.
I can't get the mask off again.
Shit. Oh, so they getcha. Thank you, Sugo. I just don't know. I don't want to waste more money. Like if it is like I know it's gonna sound bad, but if it is a COVID test, like there's no like you can't do anything. Like COVID's a virus. Like you have to just wait it out. You know what I mean? Like yeah, it'd be nice to know if that's what it is, but I don't have any symptoms. The only one is the cough, I guess. I don't know. That's just me spending more money on a rapid test. And rapid tests are pretty expensive. Like 20 bucks? Like that's dinner.
Eyeballs? Really? Gross, 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 gross.
Yeah, I might go for a like a minute clinic thing to see if like a doctor can like I don't diagnose. I don't know. Shit. I don't know what to do. Where did she come from? Hi, Ollie. That's really interesting. Anyway. If they do a... I don't know. That means... PR, like, what? Am I supposed to just speedrun this? is it? Roxy, Chica, Scissors, Eyeball. Roxy. Chica. Stop. Scissors. Fuck. Eyeball. Oh my god, I'm stressed.
Let me detect.
Hey. Oh. Okay, checkpoint. That was a generous checkpoint. How do I get back to the start? Just gonna walk there. Okay. Come after me. Right. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not thrilled that you have to use this like goggle thing, because that's like how that's what they did in the Batman games, and I feel like I didn't get to really enjoy the ambience as much as I could because I was always using the night vision. That's like why I don't like some games that do this like night vision tactic. Like I just want to like enjoy the game and not have to worry about like you know, turning the lights on and off. I don't know. Is that weird for me to say? Like, I just want to, like, walk around like this and see the environment. Like, I don't want to turn on these goggles and I'm like, oh, I can see, like...
I don't hear anything. I hope I'm not too late.
Why is this making me motion sick?
Monty?
Why would you speak? What the fuck do I do? Thanks, Max. I don't like this. It's like behind me. Oh my god, it's another flooded room. Why am I parkouring? I'm good. I'm sat. Seated. Oh! Okay, I don't even think that's this scary at all, really. Just like go. Be slow. This shit. Oh my god, I have to stand in the water and do that? Oh my god. They're testing me. Okay, so from here, from what I can see, it looks like it's... He's not even swimming, he's just like the animation underwater. Okay. Well. Anyway. Where is Freddy? I hope Freddy isn't fucked up. I'm gonna get pushed down though. I already know. Oh, Diva. Okay. never stop smiling.
Gregory? Gregory! I made it to the raceway. Are you okay?
Oh.
I might be able to get a signal if I head deeper into the raceway.
Good luck, Charlie.
Do you need assistance?
I'm okay, actually.
Do you need assistance?
Be quiet.
Everything with the follow. In relation to Haru from Persona? Are you twins? Hey, twin. Thank you. That's gonna be hard to do. There we go. Oh.
Give up. You can't win.
I'm not here. I'm literally not here.
There's nowhere to hide.
Oh.
I'm so scared and alone. Here I am.
Oh. Where'd she go?
Over here.
Gregory? You can't hide forever.
She hasn't found him yet. I better find him first.
You might as well give up.
Here I am. Over here. Just follow the sound of my voice.
Not fair. Well, glad to have you here. We're playing... I don't know how far we're into this. How many hours have we been streaming? 3? Oh, exactly 3. Yeah, I don't know. Someone said this is 4 to 5 hours, so I don't know how much we're... I mean, I hope we can finish it. seems like we're towards the end. Oh, that scared me. Nice. No, because I ate that. What the?
Ah! Let go! Let go!
I'm sorry.
Oh, stop. Wait, she like felt bad.
Gregory! I'm in Roxy Racers.
That makes me feel bad.
Say something!
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What happened here? It looks like the whole place fell in.
Something tunneled out. Broke everything. And now I'm stuck here.
I really think I need to go get help. Or call the police.
Girl,
How is that supposed
you're
to
so
happen?
deep in here.
There's no time.
Fine. Am I even close? Where are you? This place is huge.
Down there. Sinkhole under the raceway.
Under the raceway. Helpy, how do I get down there?
Not her being like, I need to call the police. Like, you didn't want to do that when you walked in. Would you like a hash brown? I would. Did I get Dunkin' this morning? No, I didn't eat anything for breakfast this morning, which is unfortunate. I'm pretty hungry, so I'm hoping as soon as I finish this, I can get some. Probably won't play anything else, just close it out for the night. A shorter stream. I always eat breakfast. Breakfast is one of my favorite meals. I love bagels. I love eggs and toast. It's just like so good. I love drinking a Monster in the morning or a coffee or like a drink from Starbucks, like a refresher from Dunks. It's like a routine I have. Then I'll like edit thumbnails and do all that stuff in the morning if I can. It's good to have a nice routine. What is our objective? Like, I don't even know what we're doing right now. Whew. Okay, I need to go to the bathroom again. So sorry. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm back. Hey. Hey, everyone. This thing's gonna jump at us. I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked. Oh, my fucking head, dude. When will it end? Remember when your name was Maddie? Hey, guys. You thought you could change it back at a drop of a hat, and then you got stuck. That made me giggle. That was camp. You should change it back. Just kidding, you can't. Jeep Cheeps are your entire person. You should change your name to Maddie Butterfree. Or Butter, or Caterpie. Matterpie. Oh, it's because I have to do this. LOL, I did it. It's not a username, it's a lifestyle. Oh my god, do you see that? Where is that? Crimson, thank you for the raid, babe. Where is that for real, for real? How was the stream? It's no tea. Thank you for the raid. And the host. Oh, you hosting tonight? Oh, that's really interesting. Are these things gonna chase me? I think I found them, guys.
What are those things?
Not traveling, please. Oh, it's a little chilly in here. Why is it always Nemesis, you're so pretty, and not Nemesis, I'm gonna donate $500 to your PayPal account? Ugh. Matterpie.
Gregory,
they come. Yeah, they're like spiders. Matter P. You're a silly Matter P. Can you get a life?
What are those things? They look like the DJ.
I'll just go fuck myself. It's no tea. I'm doing my Uma Thurman impression as what she played in Red, White, and Royal Blue. She was playing a Texan. She was from Texas, so she had an accent. She had a country accent. She was the Southern Belle. She was talking like this. It was camp. That movie's good. And it was good because both of the guys in the movie were hot. And I just loved to see them fuck. It was like softcore prawn. It was amazing.
Gregory, are you there? Gregory, are you there? Gregory, are you there?
Hold on. Do these attack you? They do. Okay, so that's my problem. Because this little fucker keeps attacking me too.
Gregory, are you there? Gregory, are you there? Gregory, are you there? Gregory, are you there?
What are those things? They look like the DJ.
Gregory, are you there? Gregory, are you there?
Gregory, are you there? Shut the fuck up.
Gregory,
Sorry.
are you there?
Oops.
Gregory, are you there?
Here, are these little bitches gonna show up or what? Like, where are they at? Like, show up. Like,
Gregory, are you there?
what kind of donuts? That's the most important question of all. That is the most important question. Where are these bitches at?
Gregory, are you there? Gregory, are you there?
Are they like dead? Like they won't move. I'm. I broke them. I broke the robots. I broke them. That is not what a donut is. You can't have a vanilla donut. That's not real. What are you talking about? That scared me because there was nothing on my screen but something jumped at me. What was that? You're a poopy. Okay, so like, what am I supposed to do? Are they all shut off? Like, what happened? Stop. This one's impossible, you guys. Stop! Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to be like a hardware person? Like, this is a man's job, not mine. I can't turn on my thing. Let me in, please. Ah!
Gregory, are you there?
Oh, that's not.
Gregory, are you there?
This is too much.
Gregory, are you there?
Oh, marching band. Goofy. It is really making me do the most for this.
Gregory, are you there?
Shit. Why didn't you go with your friends? What? I'm so mad if I have to do that all over again. Nah, dude. No, that's so bullshit. I swear to fucking God, you better not make me redo that entire fucking section. I swear on my entire life. Okay. I was gonna be so mad, dude. Like, I just need them to go.
Gregory, are you there?
Oh. Like, where is this guy coming from? I'm out of here. Oh, that sucks. So sorry. I hope you enjoyed your vacation, though. That it's so ingenuine, but like, I don't know, okay? I don't know, and that's okay. What the fuck? That thing better back the F up while I'm doing this puzzle. I like these puzzles a lot. These ones are cool. I like these. And back it up a little. Stop. Just stop. Not funny. What did this open the door to? Like, why did we do this? Oh. assume it's something all the way down here. I literally have no idea. Not down here. I don't know what that opened, to be honest. Oh, it opened the stage. Gotcha. I have to be. So. What the? Okay. That's Springtrap? What if I accidentally speedrun this and I qualify for top like 200 of speed this? I mind.
Ugh, I bet those security nodes are all the way down there.
I can't. Can we stop with the security nodes bullshit? I'm so over it. Stop. Not really, I just finished a puzzle that was taking me forever. I think we're about to see Freddy because I can hear Freddy's echoes. Okay. Are there arms reaching out at me? I can't take my mask off. Uh-oh. That's an issue. Fuck, I just ran into a dead end. Stop. Oh, I'm toast. No. Woo! We did it, Joe.
Freddy!
Freddy!
Freddy? Are you okay? Please be functional.
Oh, that's not. Oh. Oh! Ah! I'm dead. I'm toast. I'm toast. I'm toast!
There's the inhibitor!
Oh my fucking head. You lie. You lie like a dog. Oh, fuck. Run, girl, run. Freddy lost his head. So no head? Damn. I'll give Freddy some head. Sorry. I mean, I would. It wasn't a lie. I'm just apologizing for saying it out loud. That Chica?
Cassie, can you hear me? I finally have a clear signal.
Gregory,
Girl.
I shut down all the security nodes. I'm in the Roxy party garage. Am I close?
Almost. There's still one node left that's keeping the underground sealed.
Where?
Roxy's the final node. You need to deactivate her.
But
Deactivate her and save me. Save me, Cassie, please. It's so dark down here.
I don't wanna. Roxy's nice. This thing is tricking us. It's not Roxy. Roxy's not our enemy. Even though she is trying to kill us, but like, it's fine. It's like literally. What if we just like don't? I feel bad. I don't want to kill her. We are being tricked. Yeah, literally Gregory's toast. Like, Gregory's dead, bitch.
Roxy.
Cassie. Cassie.
You remember me?
Your special day. I remember. Your special day. Do you still like carrot cake? It has been some time since I saw you last. If I remember correctly, it is on the 11th.
Of what
I
month?
remember because you are number 1. Twice. Have you booked your party? I'm sure your friends will show up this time.
No, it's making me!
Cassie? What are you doing?
No! This is so sad!
So sorry.
I love carrot cake. Happy birthday, Cassie.
Roxy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yo, fuck Cassie. All my homies hate Cassie. And fuck Gregory too. Hate these bitches. I'm Team Fnaf. Hello? The way you can hear Roxy crying, I can't. This is trauma, mama. Can I turn my flashlight on? Like, Jesus, I can't see. Girl, it's gonna be Springtrap. Springtrap is gonna gag this girl. I don't want to have to do with it. Just play a cutscene. I don't want to have to run away from Springtrap because it's not even my fault. I didn't even want to kill her. I wanted Roxy to survive. Me when I cry. Walks down this very ominous looking death trap. Like, she's gonna die, like, for real. Cassie is dead. She's toast. An elevator. Oh, she's toast. The happy music playing after we just killed Roxy. Oh. Bitch, stop crying in my ear. Suck it up. You did it. Suck it up. Oh, not my wig popping. Hold on. She died a baddie. Have you seen the TikToks of people that like actually have like Springtrap and like Roxy suits and they like dance? It's funny. Love it. Yeah, this doesn't look ominous. Girl, Springtrap is coming for this girl. She's toast. This is It the Clown tease. Oh, they're so cool. I want to just like, they look like not comfortable, but they make them look comfortable. Even though, you know, someone in the FNAF lore, somebody died in one of those. Literally, what is happening? Right. Okay. Right. This is definitely...
No! No. Come on! Stupid flashlights!
Well, you've done it now, girl. Not Liza Minnelli outlived Roxy. I mean, it's T, but you shouldn't say it. T, Mr. Pepper. I've always wanted to play those games. I've tried a couple times, but they're really hard. I'm just gonna ignore that present right there. I'm gonna keep ignoring these presents.
I am a candy cadet. Come get your candy here. I have candy all day, every day. Candy, 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 candy.
Right, so...
I got a fast token!
Where's the door? Oh.
I got another fast token, you guys.
Who cheered?
I use a fast token.
I
Oh.
will tell you a story about a mother and her little boy who lived alone in a cabin in the dark woods.
Oh, that's okay. That's really okay.
There was a monster in the woods, but the mother caught it and kept it locked in the basement.
Okay. That's really an interesting story to tell the kids. We are literally playing, like, this turned into, like, Evil Dead real quick. What? Okay. Marty, I'm definitely a little scared. Oh.
Why are there burners everywhere? It's like the inside of an oven.
Well, oh yeah, Springtrap's coming to town tonight. Springtrap's coming tonight. Can I hide in this? Oh, no. That thing looks like the robot from the Power Rangers. Oh my god, it does! Hey girl, how are you feeling about the DLC? It's pretty good. We were talking about it earlier. I just wish it wasn't so repetitive. Like, we're doing the same, like, bullshit over and over again. Like, I wish there was a little something different. But pretty good. It definitely adds a lot of horror. Like, it's definitely taking it to a dark, scary place. Especially this part. This part's wild. That's a picture of Springtrap. Okay. Oh wait, or is that Foxy? Oh no, it's Springtrap. Wait, no, it's Foxy and somebody. I don't know. I'm so glad this girl is really doing the thing. This is Springtrap's this is the original Freddy Fazbear's pizza. I've seen the lore. I know this is it. That's the hallway he ran down at the post-game credits in the original game, and this is the original Fnaf pizza place. We're in it right now. I didn't really have a choice. It wouldn't let me back out of the mission. Gagged.
Gregory!
Oh.
Are you in there?
Girl.
Well, it looks like someone poured concrete over the door. How am I supposed to get rid of concrete?
Girl! You dumb as hell.
Gregory, you okay?
Yes, I'm sure Gregory's fine, sister.
You saved me. You saved me.
Gregory?
I knew it.
I'm Gregory.
Oh.
You're not Gregory. What are you?
Ew.
I'm Gregory.
Roxy! No, sister.
Cassie, can you hear me?
Gregory? Is that really you? I mean, really you?
I like literally can't see. Hold on.
I've been trying to reach you all night. I'm not at the pizza place. Something's trying to trick you.
You're a bit late. This thing in the basement sounds just like you. How do I know this is you for real?
Is there another option? You need to get out of there now.
How?
My friend has access to the building map. Just follow the instructions.
What is that?
Run! Go right. It's right behind you.
Oh, I'm aware.
Keep going. Go right. Right. Hurry.
I can't hurry!
Almost there.
Well, that's not fair. He didn't tell me which way to go when I got in there. Said follow instructions. Oh, poop you. Or is it tricking me? Am I supposed to go right or am I supposed to go left? Oh, maybe don't start me there so I run into the killer. The killer!
It's right behind you.
Girl! Yeah. Thank you for pointing out the obvious.
Keep going. Go right. Right. Hurry. Almost there.
You're so unserious right now. There's no way.
Cassie, it's me. I think I need to explain a few things. You were never supposed to go to the pizza plex. That thing in the sinkhole tricked you. I really don't know what it is, but it's been trapped down here a really long time. The Nexus security program was designed to keep it hidden, but you shut down the security. Now it's free.
Well,
It's not your fault. I know you did it for me, to save me. But we can't risk being followed. I'm sorry.
Gregory? No!
oh, they gagged her. Oh, they gagged her boots. Oh my god. I'm dead. What? Oh my god, shut up. That's the roll credits. I'm dead. Okay, is that the true ending though? Because that's kind of gaggy, I don't know. Are you supposed to not kill Roxy?
Cassie.
Oh.
Wait, that's it? They haven't confirmed it yet, but everybody thinks that is the real ending. What are the other endings? There's 3. I mean, we did it. We beat it. That's what I was here to do. But so everybody's getting that ending though, so I got the right one, right? Oh, there's one that she kills it. Huh. How does she kill it? Huh. Brazil ending? Huh? Let's look these up. Steam Big Picture open. Does she run away to Brazil? What do you mean a Brazil ending? What? I thought that was a good ending. Like, I kind of want that to be the canon ending. That, like, they literally killed her because she's sacrificed. But, let's watch the other ones. Fnaf Ruin endings. Purge the story endings. No, I just want to watch the endings. I don't need your explanation, buddy.
Cassie.
It's right behind you! Keep going! Hurry! Cassie, I'm okay. I found a spot to hide.
What is this one?
Right! Hurry! Cassie, I'm okay.
That's the Brazil ending?
Found a spot to
Why is it called Brazil?
hide there now!
Oh, okay. That's what it's called in the file names. Gotcha. Wait, why doesn't it have all endings? Secret ending and bad ending. Oh, I got a bad ending? Normal ending, bad ending. Okay, so that's what everybody's getting. Escape the Mimic. This one. Scooper ending. Good ending. What is that? What was that? You saw that, right? Why did it look like that? Ew, what is that? Why does it look like a Big Daddy from BioShock? Oh my god, ew, what is that? I need like a close-up. What is that?
Oh my god, ew! So why does it have a body in this one? Like, what is that? For hot dog fingers in this cutscene?
It looks like someone poured concrete over the door. How am I supposed to get rid of this thing in the basement? Is destruction.
Oh. How do you get that to happen? Like, why does it have clothes on it? Oh, you have to do something in chapter 3? What do you have to do? You have to like collect everything? That's too much work for me. Y'all know I wasn't gonna get that, but we can watch someone on YouTube do it while I post this to YouTube and you watch me fail at it. So it's no tea boots. That's wild. Honestly, I like the ending we got. It was pretty iconic. Like, if you ask me, like, I literally don't care. Like, that stupid bitch can die. Oh, sorry. Anyways. It's a rotted dino with a... Oh. Oh! Well, I'm gonna end so I can have dinner because I haven't had food all day. So I'm gonna end a little earlier than usual, and we'll be back on Tuesday with something else. I can't believe we did that in one stream. I'm proud of us. Happy about that. So I'm gonna see if I can get my hands on Final Fantasy 16 because I really want to venture into that. But stay tuned on my YouTube channel for hopefully some exclusive YouTube content. Please follow my Instagram on NemesisLacroix. I'm 500 followers away from 10K whammies. So please follow me on Instagram. TikTok, everything is NemesisLacroix. Only here on Twitch is Nemesis Network. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. And I will see you guys Tuesday, I think, if I'm feeling it. But tomorrow I have a D&D Baldur's Gate session, so I will not be streaming. But I'll see you guys later. Bye.